Hello riders from around the world. In this video I'm going to talk about the basic modifications we need to make if we want to ride our motorcycles off-road. I will show you some very practical tips and hacks how to convert your motorcycle to a real adventure machine. A machine capable to do almost anything. The most important of everything is that I'm gonna tell you how to do it on a budget without robbing a bank. Stay with me. I have seen a couple of videos like this in YouTube, and usually the guys they advise that if you want to do off-road or to make some kind of adventure, you really need expensive bike. And usually on the background is a GS Adventure or Yamaha Super Tenere or some KTMs, exactly like my bike at the moment. Of course, the difference between my cheap bike and these high expensive top adventure motorcycles is obvious. They will also have hard cases, top case and super, I don't know, tons of different adventure gadgets. They will try to convince you that without all of that stuff it's going to be impossible to make the desired trip. Is it really like that? I'm sorry guys, but I have to disappoint you. To ride any motorcycle over 120 kilograms off-road is going to be very difficult or almost impossible job for many of you. And it doesn't matter how expensive is the bike or the gear, it is just too heavy. Even my bike, which is 200 kilograms, fully loaded with 22 liters of petrol, is way too heavy. Yes, I can ride on some dirt roads like the one behind me, maybe in the mud, in the sand and some difficult tracks, maybe even in the snow if necessary, but the possibilities are limited. If you know that from the beginning, it will save you a lot of time and money to buying useless stuff, believing that it will help you to make impossible job. What I'm gonna show you now is how to make some basic adjustments on your bike. The bike you already have. They're not gonna make you better off-road rider, but you will feel significant difference in your riding comfort when you need to leave the asphalt roads. First and very important is to remove all the stuff you don't need it. Forget about hard cases, top box or any kind of additional weight on the motorcycle. Remember, the weight is always matter. After all of this is done and you already remove all the parts you don't need it, you can start to add some additional weight, like an engine guard for example. This is something very important and you shouldn't make any compromises. Actually, the one I have, it's made by me, it's cost me only 50 euros. So buy the best you can afford, or if you cannot, just make your own. You will definitely need a better foot pegs, wide enough to support your weight when you stand on the bike. The one I have are nothing special. Actually, I bought it from eBay for about $10. They were not for my model and I need to remake it, so I drill a bigger hole here or something like that, but they work well already more than 4 years or I don't know how many exactly. You will need a better handlebar. The one I have is 28 millimeters. Let me remove this cushion to show you what exactly I'm talking about. So, as you can see, it has a very stable bar risers at the moment. They are about almost 2 centimeters, 1.5 I think they were, but they allowed me to ride my motorcycle while I'm standing on the pegs. This is very important if you learn to ride off-road. Without be able to ride stand, it's impossible to learn to ride off-road properly. The reason I'm telling you that is because when you change your handlebar, you will feel like a different motorcycle. You will have a direct connection with your front wheel and you will feel it much better. And this will give you the comfort and the confidence you need when you ride off-road. The next step is to adjust the levers, clutch and brake levers. They need to be on a proper position to be able to ride on and off-road. So the difference is that when you ride on the road, they need to be more like this, more straight. And when you're off-road, because you're standing, you need it to be a little bit down. And you don't need to adjust it every time. What you can do, it's a simple hack. Just leave it a little loose and then you can move it on the fly. You can bend it down when you ride off-road to be easy for you to touch it, more accessible, and then when you're on the road you can adjust it to the proper position. Don't worry, you're not gonna lose it. It is just not tightened up to the end. You also need to find the proper position of your rear brake pedal. You have to be able to press it when you sit and ride on the highway, for example, but also when you stand on the bike and ride off-road. If it's too low, you cannot touch it, or you have to make a lot of movements before you touch it. If it's too high, for example, it's up to here, every time when you need to press it, you have to lift your leg and then press it. All of this will make your reaction slow and it might cause problems in the long term. A good handguards are must, something very stable with a metal frame inside. You can find any kind of cheap variations. Actually, the one I have are made from two different models from Acerbis. The bottom one is from one model and the top is from different model. I mounted here just to have this more wind protection, but actually they are very stable, and you can see the dents here, they are used, so they actually save my levers a couple of times. Another one very practical modification is to cut the levers with about 2 centimeters at the end, actually where the ball is. So this will allow you to save the lever if the bike goes down. Even if you have a handguards, sometimes when you hit the asphalt, for example, the handguards could bend and then break your lever. And you can still use it as a normal lever, no worries at all. So I cut this, and also I cut the clutch lever to the same position. So I can still press it normally, but in the case it goes down, it's not going to be braked. Actually guys, on my bike I made a lot of modifications, but on yours you don't have to. Video about what exactly I have done you can watch somewhere here. Let's talk about the suspension now. It is obvious that if you want to ride our motorcycles off-road, we will need a better suspension. Especially if you have a heavy bike and soft suspension, you will need to make something to make it stiffer. What you can do, it's a simple one. You don't need to change your forks to make the full conversion like me, because it might be a problem later when you want to go to your MOT or stuff like that. So what you have to do is the simple one. If the forks have got a bolt on the top, preload bolt, you can tighten it up to the end and make the springs inside stiffer. If you don't have, you can use spacers and it will have the same effect. Another one option will be to change the springs if you can find exactly for your model, or use some progressive springs. You will have a significant difference in your riding comfort, especially off-road. Don't forget, if you make this change with the forks, you have to make the same in the rear. Change the spring of your shock absorber. What about the tires? Guys, you have to understand, when you ride motorcycle off-road, the difference between proper off-road tires and normal road tires is like the difference between the level and the sky. It's huge. You have to understand that this is the only thing keep your motorcycle straight. You should have at least 50-50 or 40-60 or 30-70 road off-road orientated tires. I will not recommend to use a full 100% off-road tire, because you will have a lot of problems later when you get back to the road. After you already made all of the adjustments and now the bike is properly set, it is time to learn how to ride off-road. The best way, of course, is to join some off-road courses with instructor. But if you cannot afford it because they are not cheap, by the way, or if you're too shy to join a group, you can do it by yourself. I will recommend to start with very simple trips around your hometown, or maybe even in your backyard, or to very simple dirt roads like this, just level dirt roads. Don't push yourself, don't try to learn everything for the same day. Make it step by step, one step by the time. On the next day, again and again. You will need at least 2-3 weeks to start to feel the bike, to understand how the bike reacts on the off-road or stuff like that. As you know, or maybe you don't know, but off-road in Germany is forbidden. So I cannot really show you properly what is to ride off-road, because there is no way to do it. I came here to this small track, but I came here on my own risk. And also I don't have a crew with me to shoot me and to make this proper adventure video, but I have to improvise. At least I can give you some basic advices. So the first and very important advice is to know that throttle is the most important thing when you ride off-road. Yes, the throttle is your friend. You don't have to be afraid to twist the throttle. Many years ago, when I was learning to ride off-road, a friend of mine told me, throttle is everything. If you doubt, twist the throttle. If you stuck, twist the throttle. If you're in the mood, twist the throttle. If you're on the hill, twist the throttle. For any case, twist the throttle and you'll be fine. With few words, more throttle is equal to more speed, and the speed is what keeps you straight. Remember it. The second very important is the standing position. You have to learn how to ride your motorcycle while you're standing. Exactly like this. This will give you a better visibility, a better control of the bike because of the low center of gravity, and good chances to release your boots from the saddle. It is very, very important to learn it, guys. Without it, you cannot make anything. This is the most important part when you ride off-road. Standing position. You have to keep the proper position, something like that. Not too straight, not like this, not too bent, not like that. You have to be exactly like this. Your chin actually needs to be with a straight line up to the handlebar, something like that. And of course you have to look forward, and your knees need to be a little bended like that, not locked like this. They need to be bended, and actually you have to use it like a shock absorbers all the time when you ride. You can go with the bumps, just adjust yourself through the bumps, something like that. Once again, without it you can't make anything. The third one is to learn to hold the motorcycle with your knees, not with your hands. The hands are sitting on the handlebar just to control the levers, not to hold the bike. The bike you should hold with your knees, like that. You should be able to ride the motorcycle without even touching the handlebar. And also you can use your foot pegs to control the maneuvers, left or right. When you put more weight on the right foot peg, you're going to the right. When you put more on the left, you're going to the left. So the hands are sitting here only to control the levels. Just to summarize everything, standing position is the most important part, and you have to learn it definitely if you want to ride off-road. That's okay, but what about the corners? On the corners, guys, I will recommend slow down and sit. Do not try to ride stunt. It is possible, but not for everybody. You will need at least 1 year of experience, and I will not recommend to do it with such a heavy bike like a GS 1200 or Yamaha Super Tenere or whatever. I've seen guys in internet, in YouTube actually, he actually recommend to stand on the corners because you will see if there are some kind of bends or dents or hole or potholes or whatever, but it is not something you should do at the beginning. Maybe in the later stage, yes. And another one thing you shouldn't do is to put your leg out, just to prevent the bike to go down or something like that. If this heavy bike, 250 kilograms bike, start to go down, you cannot stop it with your leg. It's more likely to break your leg instead of stop it. And don't watch the guys from the motocross tracks, because they use their legs for balance, to give more weight to the front wheel, not to stop the bike from falling down. If you have ABS or traction control on the bike, turn it off if it's possible, of course. This is a great system and work absolutely fantastic on the road, on the asphalt, but off-road it's not exactly what you expect. Use the front brake only if the bike is absolutely straight, never on the corners, never touch it even on the corners. I know that coming from the street, it's a very usual for you. The first reaction is going to be to press the front brake. Don't do it, please. The front brake will put you down immediately. Use the rear and the engine brake. The rear could slide you down, could maybe a little move, but you will have a time for reaction. With the front, nothing. Just bam like this and you're on the ground. Always brake before the corners. Once you're in, do not chop the throttle or try to brake. This is absolutely wrong. When you're in, you have to keep twisting the throttle slowly, steady, and when you get out of the corner, you can twist even more. But the throttle control actually is what keep you safe and steady on the corners. If you need to ride on the sand, the first thing you have to do is to drop the pressure of the tires. This will make the tires wider and you'll have a better control. Also, you have to sit as rear as possible to bring more weight to the rear wheel and to release the weight from the front wheel. This will stop the bike shaking like that, just like that. Also, do not put your feet on the ground, keep it on the pegs. When you try to help with your feet like that, you actually moving the bike from left to right, and this will bring more problems than help. To ride on the sand, you need speed, which is mean you start very slowly on the first gear without so much twisting the throttle, and then put immediately second gear and try to keep a good speed, something like 20-30 kilometers per hour, no more. But even better is to ride faster than slower, because when you have speed, the bike actually cannot dig into the sand. If you're stuck in the sand, you will in some stage if you learn to ride in the sand. Don't twist the throttle more, you will dig even more. Cut the engine, lie the bike on the ground, straight it again on different position, and the wheel will be out and you can start again. So guys, this was pretty much everything I wanted to tell you. I know that it's not much, but at least you will have the basics. What you have to do now is just to go out and ride your motorcycle. More you practice, better you will become. Don't forget to check the rest of the videos in the channel. I have at the moment more than 170 different videos. Or if you like, go and buy my book, How to Become a Better Long Distance Motorcycle Rider. Link in the description. What I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna break some German rules and ride a bit in this beautiful forest. We'll see if they are able to catch me. See you next time. Ciao.